All right, Sam. Well, we are here today because you did a little painting project for me.
I did, yes.
We got some Twisted Metal figurines over here, over on the table. In the past, you had been here. You had painted some Warhammer figurines and kind of gave me your background on your inspiration to do all that kind of stuff. And I guess what made this project a little bit different, and what was some of the steps that you had to kind of maneuver your way through to kind of get these done?
So kind of what I started was, the first thing that I noticed about the models was I'm not super familiar with 3D printing, not yet anyway. I don't have the space for it. But the two things that I noticed the most when I initially got the models from Eric was the material. Axel had a lot more of a palleable, like, it was easier to work with in terms of like sanding and getting things smooth, getting the surface ready for a primer. But when I was starting to work with Sweet Tooth, I found that that filament, that plastic, was a little bit harder, more dense. And I have a Dremel and stuff, and I have sanders and stuff at home to work with to really work it down. But because of how detailed Sweet Tooth was, I didn't really want to mess with it, so I just let it be. But the main chore, especially for Axel, like I said, not so much Sweet Tooth, was sanding down the outside of the rims and the tires. They were very layered, very stacked on each other. And if I were to just take that from Eric and just start painting it, I would probably have to use 2 or 3 times the paint to cover the surface area. So it kind of works both ways. It helps make the tires and the rims and Axel himself look a little bit more smooth, and it saves paint, shades, oils, all that sort of stuff. So after I sanded it down, the main thing that I wanted to concentrate on, which I personally don't do a lot of because I mostly do like armor and machines and that sort of stuff, is really skin color. I had to research, like Eric said, I do a lot of Warhammer stuff, and I had to research certain models that I knew off the top of my head kind of had like a similar skin color. Like Sweet Tooth is my reference that I got from him was from the show and vaguely from the video game. So I tried to find something that was close to what I don't know the guy's name, Samoa Joe, whoever plays Sweet Tooth. But trying to get his skin color down so it wasn't changing his ethnicity, but it wasn't making him look too clean, was kind of the balancing. So I used a contrast paint, which specializes in getting into crevices and making like the muscle definition and the skin, and where the skin folds and stuff like that, come out a lot clearer. I mean, the metal, his machete was pretty straightforward. I do a lot of metal stuff, so just a stainless steel with some oil, with an oil finish. I used 2 different kinds of browns. I used a different brown of his gloves to make it a more leathery glove, and I used a lighter brown on his boots, and the same thing with his harness. The coloring, the base was probably the most important part. The primer, I mean. I used a very specific a primer. It's like a pale skin color, and I did that for Axel too, which made his skin color, his brown skin color, actually look a lot closer to the actor from the show. If I would have changed anything about Axel, I probably would have made his jeans a little darker, but I think that's fine. But other than that, the biggest challenge was getting the lines and the definition right. The red on white was difficult. You have to have really smooth hands to do that. Other than that, a lot of steel colors on Axel, but I'll just run through quick what I did. I I did like a basic boot color, and then I tried to do an oil finish. Anything that I felt like they were in contact with or working with, like in reality, like if they were driving steering wheels or working on cars and stuff like that. So I tried to do oil finish, get his forearms a little dirty, that stuff. Biggest detail challenge out of all this was definitely Sweet Tooth's face. Getting his lips right, getting his eyes right. Took most of my inspiration from the show, with his like darker eyeshadow, red irises, that stuff. But yeah, that's basically what I did. Tried to get the smooth finish as much as possible. Wasn't able to do the face. I kind of left it the way it was because even with like putting on my glasses and putting on my magnifying glass with my hands and stuff like that, he always came out like cross-eyed or something, like his lips weren't right. So I kind of just took the brown and went, nope, just leave it how it is.
Looking at Axel, obviously these are all 3D printed, so they're all one piece. In a perfect world, you'd be able to kind of just click these apart and kind of paint them individually and then put them back together. But I mean, was there any obstacles kind of painting Axel himself, considering you really only had about 2 inches of clearance on each side? And like, how did you kind of work around being in such a tight space? Because I mean, even when you work with the Warhammer figurines, you know, those are pretty much like kind of freestanding. They're not kind of like encapsulated by anything else. Like how did you kind of, like what obstacles did you kind of come towards, like when you were trying to put this together with the limited space you had?
Oh, great question. So the outside, obviously, and everything on the outside was easy, was quick. I was able to use like power tools. I was able to use like 180. Actually, the outside was a little rough, so I used like a little 240 sandpaper. But what I ended up really doing is just very old school, taking like sandpaper itself and tearing small pieces, and where I could fit like wrap it around a brush or my finger, just try to get in underneath in certain spots where I wouldn't be like breaking and snapping the model. So like on the sides of the grenade, the missile launcher and stuff like that, I was able to get the tops and the sides as nice and smooth, like, and then the insides I would basically just take a strip and just slowly just go back and forth just to get the smoothness. But sanding and just painting those tight spots were probably the toughest part, and trying not to break the missile launchers off the top, because even though it looks pretty thick, it wasn't as strong as I thought.
So between either of these, what was the one aspect that you necessarily never have had to do before that you kind of figured out that, okay, I can do skin tones, I can do red on white, I can do, you know, kind of dirt and grime and kind of make it look like he's working there instead of just a, you know, clean right out the factory kind of looking figurine? Like what was kind of different about this one? Because these are generally bigger than what you usually handle as well.
Absolutely, yeah. What I usually handle is about as tall as the Twisted Metal logo. But the two biggest things was the skin color was big. The skin color was big. I always knew how to like correct my mistakes when layering paints, so like the face and the polka dots weren't as bad. It was mostly just like stupid dumb mistakes, like going a little bit too far on the red, and then you have to wait for it to dry and then do a couple layers of white and stuff like that. But knowing how to layer painting's big. But that was the most like flame that I've done. Basically for that, I just tried to make it stand out, so I did like a white base paint, and then after that I did a huge layer of yellow. And I just, after a while, I let it sit, and then I would just run random streaks of orange over the crease lines and stuff like that. And I would let those sit for a little bit so that the paint initially dries in the spot that I put it, and then I would spread it out so it would look like it was diffused inside of the yellow. So almost like you can see like different shades of an orange and a yellow, and you can see white at the bottom where you would think it was initially like igniting off of his head and stuff like that. I mean, the polka dots and stuff, that just took time. No, it's really refreshing to know that I could do like a skin more, I think biological is the right term to use. I've mostly painted like very mechanical models and stuff like that, so I haven't needed to, diffuse colors into each other or trying to match colors up. But I really looked into certain shades of primers and certain paints so that when I painted it, I didn't like change who the person actually was. Like, I wanted to keep the grit of what Sweet Tooth is, but I also wanted to keep him sort of in the same general vicinity as like the character from the show. So I tried to achieve that by giving him like an oily tanner apocalyptic sort of skin. He has like smudges on his body, he hasn't taken a shower, obviously, stuff like that. The skin color for Axel, that was more of a challenge because I've never painted somebody of that color, if that's the right way. I've never painted somebody like that, so my main idea was to use like the regular pale skin and just shade it darker, and that seemed to work like perfectly, which I was really happy about.
I mean, beyond that, even just looking at them just like real briefly, like I do like the little speckles, and I mean ultimately it's the imperfections that make it look more real. Like you said, it's just, you don't want to have just one shade of skin tone all the way through and then it's not a kid's toy. This is like something that's going to sit down here and live down here and have its own kind of little deal. So this is pretty neat.
Yeah, I definitely wanted them to have the unique is definitely the right word. I definitely wanted them to be unique, something that somebody could stare at and not have be an eyesore, just look at it and be like, oh wow, that looks really cool, but no, I think honestly, I did funny enough, I did a lot more work on Axel than I did on Sweet Tooth, for sure. The amount of time, because of the filament, like, I don't know if you remember how rough this was, how I got it to that and nice and smooth and it to look like a tire. I was pretty impressed with myself. I went through it took some serious time to sand that down, which I'm very happy the model and everything held up. But I definitely, getting Axel ready for priming was the most challenging part, but I think my most favorite part was Sweet Tooth's head, for sure.
Like his mask?
Yeah. Trying to get that down and stuff like that. I wanted to leave it like that. There was a couple iterations where there was like black cracks and stuff going like through his eyes and stuff like that, but if I decide to do them again, I'll save that for another time. Because it was one of those things where it's like I put the last like strip of black on, I'm like, leave it, don't touch it. Like, if I touch this thing anymore, I'm just gonna make it worse. So I just set it there after I put my last touches of paint, doing the touch-ups and stuff like that, and I'm just like, it was one of those things where like, nope, it's good, stop, don't touch it, like, leave it. So
well, I think they came out pretty well, man. I think you did a killer job. I think this is definitely cool that we're able to kind of meet up every year and have like a different kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, even the YouTube playlist is called Warhammer, and now I'm going to change that to painting miniatures.
Yeah.
Now this is kind of like beyond the scope of just Warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's that kind of cool stuff, and maybe next year we'll have another 3D printed something and have you kind of see what you can test out.
Yeah, if it's something people like, and I mean, I'm gonna do it for myself regardless, but there's a lot of bigger Warhammer models that I definitely want to get into, a lot more intricate stuff like that to work with, and I'll put myself in a better spot so I can actually record me going through the process. I kind of said that I would do it this time, but sort of like the interruptions and me having a lack of ability to edit video, I kind of decided not to do that this time. So, we'll do this again, hopefully, and I'll bring some more intricate and some different vibrant stuff, and, see if see if anybody else likes it, and you know, maybe I can paint some models for some people if they want. So, but yeah, pretty sweet, man. Thank you for the models, thank you for the challenge, and yeah, I hope you keep these for a while, dude.
Thanks, Sam.